Welcome back to HealthWise. With us is Dr. Kerry Thibodeaux, the medical director, among other things, of the Wound Treatment Center in Opelousas at OGH. He's also our medical director at St. Landry EMS, and also a renowned surgeon at Opelousas General. Doc, we were talking about your adventures in Baton Rouge, trying to convince Medicaid, the medical director, to about the Apple graft and why he should fund it.
Right. Well, and then the other thing that I pointed out to them is that, and they knew this, they're predicting that the Medicaid rolls in this state will expand to a point where 46% of our population is on Medicaid. Well, if they don't pay for advanced therapies and they won't pay for this and that, they're going to limit access. So you're going to have more people on Medicaid who can't get care. And so I think that's unfair to the taxpayers of the state of Louisiana to not at least look at this seriously, look at the numbers and look at the cost savings. There were some other things that we talked about too, because, I know you hang around politicians a lot. When you start talking about money, they get real nervous, So, we even offered, because of our experience at the Wound Center, I offered to help them formulate the policy by which it's covered. All the things that are required prior to approving the Applegraph, and even offered to help them with what are the benchmarks that have to be met before they would approve it, and further suggested to them that this is not an emergency procedure. No doctor in the state of Louisiana is going to have to put a piece of Applegraph on to save somebody's life. Right. So a process of pre-certification would certainly be acceptable to everybody. And that way they can kind of keep their hands on the string to make sure that it doesn't get away, because at $1,500 an application, you could run up some big bills. But that seemed to make them feel a little better. But at the end of the day, the bottom line is that we have a two-tiered system because of limited access. And when you realize that the government, with this new Health Care Act, is going to become more involved in paying for health care and controlling access, that it's a very slippery slope to start down when you start limiting things that the data clearly shows saves money, in the long run saves limbs, and saves lives. Because another statistic is that if a diabetic patient loses an extremity because of an ulcer, it will shorten their lifespan. 50% of those patients die within 3 years. And it's a result of being immobilized. Right. So that puts them at increased risk for other complications, and clearly they die faster than if you can keep them ambulating on 2 feet. Right. And so by limiting access to technologies like this that really are not expensive, and at the end of the day save money, is a disservice to the people that the program is supposed to be serving. Sure. So I'm hopeful that they were able to look at that. The problem becomes the medical director of Medicaid may get it. He may tell his people, run me the numbers. The numbers may come back, and he may then go to committee and tell them, this will help us save money. But unless they can get it out of that committee to the floor, then it can't become policy.
It could die in that committee, basically.
And then they told me some horror stories today about things that die that way. So if you care about your health care, and if you are on Medicaid, or if you know someone on Medicaid,
which we
call
all do.
your politicians, the state legislators, the senators, and tell them that access to care is important.
This is very much so needed. Okay, Doc.
So I mean, that was my big adventure in Baton Rouge. By the way, people in Louisiana should be really proud of the way the state has spent its money on developing that area. You know, when I was in college and I would go to Baton Rouge, that whole area down there was just a war zone. A lot of abandoned properties, desolate, a lot of people, vagrants hanging around.
Oh, they really
it is
changed.
Tremendously revitalized. The government buildings in the areas there are really well done. That whole downtown area is revitalized, and everything's within walking distance from right there. So if you have business with the state, you can stay close by, and then you can get around.
And still go to the meetings and all that stuff.
So I encourage everybody to go visit. A lot of history there too. You know,
oh, sure.
Pass by the barracks. They really did a good job of sprucing them up and bringing that all back together.
Sure.
So people in Louisiana should be proud because
and get to
it's
go.
really a huge change that I was totally unaware of.
Baton Rouge, a lot of people we take for granted because we're close,
right.
You know, and I've always said that we all should every now and then get up, go visit. I mean, even if you want to just go one day and just sit, because a lot of people don't realize you're able to go sit in these sessions with legislatures, you know, and see how they do business. So that's something. Doc, we also want to touch on this rabbit cook-off that's coming up. I know you play a big part in this, you know.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite projects.
Yeah, okay. Well, when we come back from this message from our sponsors, we're going to talk about the rabbit cook-off and the big role that Doc plays. And, you know, I mean, he actually literally plays music for that also. So we're going to talk about that when we come back.